Professor Dragomir Dimitrov and Professor Shozun Yazaki to be seated on the dais. Program by Mandala Charana. I request Radhika Deshpande to perform Saraswati Vandana. This will be followed by Buddha Vandana.
Vinaya Visaro Veera Skandha Kshamadama Pallava Shamatha Kusuma Pradnya Shakha Pradhanatanu Chadaha Pranidhi Shikara Shila Chaya Prashanti Phala Prado Bhava Bhava Marotapatana Tvameka Mahadrumaha Tvameka Mahadrumaha.
I now request Professor Mahesh Devkar to felicitate today's chief guest, Professor Srinivasa Vrtti. Thank you, sir. I now request Professor Mahesh Devkar sir to felicitate Prasad Joshi sir. Now I request Professor Prasad Joshi to felicitate the scholars that we have with us. Professor Dimitra first. And next, Professor Yazaki. Prasad sir. is in the form of that desideratum, in the partial sense, as is noted on the brief intro on the book. Now, apart from new release of that part of Chandragopal's main grammatical treatise, which deals with primary derivatives in Sanskrit, this particular publication includes a new edition of corresponding part of Cāndrasūtra as well as editio principes of Pañjikā, one of the commentaries on Cāndrasūtra. Before we go for the book release program, I would like to request Professor Mahesh Devkar to welcome all our guests, and I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Professor Mahesh Devkar to all of you. Professor Devkar is renowned scholar of Sanskrit, Pali and Buddhist studies with his specialization in grammatical traditions, linguistic studies and Buddhist philosophy. He is currently the head of the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies. Dr. Devkar has a long experience in teaching and research extending over the period of more than 20 years, and during his career, besides the University of Pune, he worked with Pradnya Pathshala Mandal, KJ Somaiya Center for Buddhist Studies, Mumbai, American Institute of Indian Studies, the Department of Indology and Tibetology of Philipps University, Marburg, Germany. He has to his credits several books and many research papers, and they are mostly printed in English, Marathi, Sanskrit as well as in Pali. For his contributions in the field of promotion and propagation of Pali language and literature, he has been awarded with many prestigious prizes. To name few are Bahujana Bhushan Puraskar in 2008 and Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Jeevan Gaurav Puraskar in 2009. And I will request Professor Devkar to present his welcome address.
Namo Namaha. So, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Srinivas Vrtti, Professor Prasad Joshi, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Deccan College, Postgraduate and Research Institute, two of my colleagues, Professor Dimitrov and Dr. Yazaki, my teachers who have specially come here today, to attend this function. So, Professor Shrikant Gaulkar, Professor Nirmala Kulkarni, Professor Shailaja Hathway, whom I owe a lot in my journey of Sanskrit studies, and all the other dignitaries, teachers, staff of Deccan College, my colleagues in the department, and all those who are present in this auditorium and also online. So let me welcome all of you and right away express my heartfelt gratitude to Professor Vrtti and Professor Prasad Joshi. Professor Vrtti for taking out time from his very, very busy schedule. It's really a crazy schedule. I cannot really think the way he travels, and he has, out of his love for me personally and for this field of Sanskrit, he has agreed to come all the way for this function here. And then Professor Prasad Joshi. We are friends, classmates for years together, and I really cherish that friendship with him. And actually, when I first had this wish expressed to him that I would like to organize a book release of this important publication, and with your presence, and he very generously offered that he suggested that we should do it in Deccan College because it is most appropriate, since the first Indian edition of the Chandravyakarana was published from Deccan College, Chitish Chandra Chatterjee's wonderful publication in 1953-56. In 2 volumes with concordances and so on. It's a wonderful work which he did in Deccan College. So, and I really, admired that idea, and I said, okay, let's do it in Deccan College. And since then, he has taken all the responsibility of making this program a success. I'm thankful also welcome to two of my colleagues. We have been working together since last more than 12 years now. I mean, with Dragomir, my association started in 2012 in Germany, and so we often worked in Germany, in Pune, and as Professor Vrtti was just mentioning some time ago, so this is like we work in 3 different time zones, in 3 different places. So Dragomir from Germany, I work from here, and then Chojin he works from Japan. So it's a collaborative work which we are doing, and the work of editing the text. And these two, I mean, they are so meticulous in their examination of the manuscripts and and meticulously recording all the variants and so on. And then we sit together and think about it. It's a very wonderful journey, very rewarding, I must say, for all these years, and that has kind of kept us going. So I think we can say it's a wonderful also example of collaborative research, and I'm really happy, especially because I know in the past times our ideals, like Professor S.D. Joshi, I mean, they had wonderful collaborations with Western scholars, and they have produced some wonderful works in collaboration. And I think now the same legacy continues. Dragomir will speak about, of course, Bruno Liebig, who also worked in collaboration with many scholars in India. So I think this is a wonderful experience for us personally, and I think a good example to follow. I mean, our journey with Cāndrasūtra started basically with like when I went to Mahabub for the first time. Dragomir was working on Ratnamatis in the Ratnashri different works which he discovered and established the relationship. A wonderful Sinhalese scholar in the 10th century who wrote in Sanskrit, Pali, and Sinhala. So all the 3 languages. And at that time, actually, I was working as a Humboldt Research Fellow on my edition and translation of Moggallana Vyakarana of Pali. And then, as it was by that time a well-established fact that Moggallana Vyakarana of Pali has a close connection and affinity with the Cāndrasūtra tradition. Then when we started even reading the Pañjikā matters, I mean, what we discovered is that Moggallana's Pañjikā was very closely related and in fact indebted to Ratnamati's or Ratnashri-Jnana's Chandra Pañjikā. And this is how basically our collaboration started. And there came a point when we discovered that these 2 texts cannot be studied in isolation, because the Moggallana Pañjikā, we only have a single it's an edition based on a single manuscript. And same way for the Chandra Pañjikā, the materials were fragmentary, and it was very difficult. The manuscripts were also not just fragmentary, but at many places not really legible, and it was difficult to kind of work on this material without any aid. And then Chojin Miyazaki, I mean, he was also by that time for his PhD started working on this particular chapter which we are going to publish today as his PhD project. And this is how basically we came together, and then this became our joint goal, and we started working on this. It's a gigantic work. What we are presenting today is just the first, you can say, a first result of that work. This text is not available in complete. There's no complete manuscript of this text. They're all fragments, and what we have now decided is to work on independent chapters where the materials are available. So this is 1-3, that is the 3rd part of the first chapter, the first adhyaya of Chandra Govind Shabda Lakshana, and this mainly focuses on the Pradanta part. And then the next, which is in pipeline, is Chandra 2.1, which is a Vibhakti section, which is also in a way an independent section. And after that, there are plans to work on the 5.3 and the 2.2. So, I mean, there are volumes to follow. So, I request our guests today that there are only more things to come, and I would request your similar support. So, once again, with this few words, I once again thank you all, those who have come here for this function, and all the dignitaries on the dais for taking out their time, especially our two guests who have come all the way from Germany and Japan just for this release function, and I'm really indebted to them. I mean, it's a beautiful, I mean, you can say a Triveni Sangama of our, I mean, three of us, I mean, working together with one heart. So thank you very much once again to all of you, and thanks especially to Professor Joshi for offering this wonderful support for organizing the program here in Deccan College, which is so meaningful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I was supposed to say that it is like a Trivedi for mainly because scholars from 3 parts of the world have gathered together to bring this work to the fore, and we are glad that such sangam is taking place at Deccan College. And on top of it, we have Professor Vrtti to grace this occasion. So, a big round of applause for all our guests and Professor Mahesh. We now come to the highlight of today's program, the official release of the book. I request our guest to unveil the book. Thank you to all the dignitaries, and congratulations to the editors, scholars. We now invite you all to delve into the world of Cāndrasūtra through illuminating presentations by the editors, which will be followed by remarks by Professor Vrtti and Professor Joshi. So I request all the dignitaries to be seated in the front row. Then we can start with the presentations. First we have presentation by Professor Miyazaki. Professor Miyazaki is a Japan Society for the Promotion of Studies JSPS Research Fellow at Hiroshima University in Japan. So, as I was saying, he is Japan Society for the Promotion of Science Research Fellow at Hiroshima University. He is also He is also working on the study of unpublished commentary of the grammar text, the Chandra Pañjikā of Sinhalese Buddhist, Ratnavati, with Professor Dr. Jabomir Dimitrov and Professor Dr. Mahesh Thakur on this particular section. His doctoral dissertation is the study of Chandra Vyakarana of Buddhist grammarian Chandrabhoomin under the guidance of Professor Toshihiro Wada. He has 17 research papers and 2 books to his credit. Now we will start with this presentation, and his talk is titled Analysis of the Relationship of Cāndrasūtra manuscripts by Applying a Phylogenetic Approach.
Namaste. Konnichiwa. Thank you for your introduction. I'm glad to be back in Pune. I think it was 2016 when I came here to buy the Japanese edition of the Chandra Vyakarana. That time I never dreamed that about 2 years later I would be here to announce a new edition of the Chandra Vyakarana. Anyway, today I want to provide a slightly unique subject. Analysis of the relationship of the Chandra Vrtti manuscript by applying a phylogenetic approach. The task of the execution in the scholarly practice of reconstructing ancient texts is to recreate the text as close as possible to their own form, to their original form. In Indian Buddhist studies, we face a unique challenge, namely authors on manuscript, namely autograph, almost never survives. Instead, we construct an archetype, the earliest version we can deduce from surviving forms. Let me illustrate this with 2 examples. On the left, 9th century manuscript handwritten by the Japanese Buddhist master Taicho, the rare surviving being of autograph. On the right, 12th century copy of the Chandra Sanskrit grammatical text. Its author, Chandrabhoomin, left no autographs. Here, every manuscript is a copy of a copy. An archetype may not perfectly match the lost original, but by removing errors and mistakes, it must be closer to the author's text than any surviving manuscripts. We create a genealogical tree called a stemma. This shows how manuscripts were transmitted and related to each other. Let me show you an example. In this diagram, the Z at the top represents our archetype, the earliest reconstructed version of the text. The text letters A, B, C, etc. are surviving manuscripts, while X and Y with quotation marks are hypothetical manuscripts that no longer exist but help to explain how different versions branched off. A stemma can be built by analyzing errors, especially so-called binding errors, mistakes passed down from one copy to another. When some manuscripts share the same error, they share a common ancestor. By tracking these binding errors, we group manuscripts into branches. However, genealogical tree only works under strict conditions. Namely, there must be only one original text. Second, scribe may accidental errors, but no intentional corrections. Third, scribes use only one source manuscript. In fact, the scribe often consults multiple manuscripts from different lineages, creating hybrid copies. This is called contamination. When contamination occurs, our stemma becomes unreliable because all variants become equally plausible. This is the qualitative method. To To tackle contamination, we sometimes use a quantitative method instead of qualitative method. Instead of tree, we built a network diagram like mapping friendship on the social media. Let's look at the example. This network shows a relationship between Tibetan translation of the Cāndrasūtra. It is complex, like a spider's web. Our brain struggles to read and understand how it expresses. We can only grasp the closeness and the distance between manuscripts. Unfortunately, in the case of our Chandra with manuscripts, a tree format does not work well. This is because the second and third conditions for this method are problematic in our case. Chandra Vrtti shows significant agreement with the Kashika Vrtti. If scribes were familiar with the Kashika, they could easily interpolate or modify examples from the Kashika into the Chandra Vrtti. In our editorial process, we found evidence of such modifications. Additionally, one of the manuscripts we examined appears to be contaminated. So we abandoned the classical tree-based approach for presenting manuscript lineage. Then I tried to analyze the relationship between the manuscript in a quantitative way by applying phylogenetic software. Our edition of Chandra Vrtti 1.3 is primarily based on the G3 Nepalese manuscript A, B, E, H, L, and P. We considered a recently discovered Tibetan translation manuscript and some parallel expressions from Modern Pali grammar, but they are not discussed here. Key points about our manuscripts are: manuscript P is a modern copy of L, hence P can be disregarded. Manuscript H is contaminated. I used the split tree 4 software on computing evolutionary networks. Here is a brief overview of how to use it. First, data compilation, compile variant readings using Excel or similar tool, designated standard reading as 0, record different readings as 1, use 2 for readings different from both 0 and 1 to convert data into Nexus format. Second, loading data, import Nexus file into split tree 4 software. The diagram will be automatically generated. Interpreting the diagram. Site and branch lengths represent distances between manuscripts. Closer distance indicate closer relations. The important thing is that the diagram does not specify any ancestor-descendant relationships. For more detailed information, you can see Charles Lee's study. I showed it here. Firstly, I'd like to assess Vrtti's printed edition published in 1918. In conclusion, his edition is quite outstanding, but some minor corrections are needed. His work derived from codices B and L. The codex B contains numerous errors, while codex L generally offers better readings. By using a software analysis, it appears that Vrtti considered L to be more reliable. As shown in this diagram, Vrtti's reading Li are closer to L than B. Here is Vrtti's edition. This L is a manuscript L, B is a manuscript B. So his edition is close to L, not to B. However, maybe he sometimes prefers to take B's reading, which is inferior, even when both are valid. For example, in Cāndrasūtra 197, we get to our edition lists 3 examples: Gamana, Bojana, Dana. Clear, dark, power, Vrtti, Vrtti, Gamana, Bojana, Dana. 3 examples are there. This edition has one more example, Pana. After Bojana, Pana. Which is found to be, but not in L, is preferable L. Latona's channel Pañjikā does not explain Pana here, as shown here. Gamana, Bojana, Dana. Pana is not mentioned. This means most likely that Pana was not read in original channel. There are similar cases where his choice could be reconsidered based on the Chandra Pañjikā. In 1970s onward, out of a manuscript of Chandra Vrtti were discovered thanks to the NGMDB project. Here, A, D, and H were not available to read. Among the 3 of them, manuscript D and it may be descendant H have different readings from DVT's manuscript D and L. As presented here in his network, the uniqueness of codex D and H here, D and H, in addition to other manuscripts, is highlighted the result of software analysis. The reading of the manuscript D and H not found in either B or L available to read. He sometimes agreed with Vrtti in the Chandra Pañjikā. Here, our edition is Garbhagrahane, Sarver Akruvavati. Here, Garbhagrahane is mentioned, which is taken from D and H. But his edition is Pratama Garbhagrahane with Pratama, which is found in his both manuscript D and L. Since Chandra Pañjikā is Garbhagya as a Pratika, we can have Garbhagrahane without Pratama. Interestingly, this word Pratama can be found in the Kashka Vrtti. It assumes that this term Pratama was incorporated into Chandra Vrtti manuscript from the Kashka. From the above discussion, the following small conclusion can be drawn. Firstly, the quality of his text is very good. However, some minor corrections are needed here and there. Secondly, the manuscript D and H cannot be ignored in the editorial process of the Chandra Vrtti. And further studies. The software Vrtti4 has a function that replaces the diagram with a tree shape from a network. This makes it easier to visualize and interpret the phylogenetic relationship of manuscript. In this diagram, the root is at the bottom. Here is the root. I use the function drawing a tree, which is called rooted equal angle based on a specific algorithm. According to this, our text X here is closer the root and closer to the root than any other existing manuscript, and also closer than DBT's text here. This confirms the validity of our text. This kind of function is based on the specific algorithm, but it is difficult to explain how it works. You need mathematical knowledge and practical knowledge of computational science. I hope that in the future, younger students will use this kind of technology. And that's why I had introduced here. Thank you for your attention and participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Yazaki, for this presentation and throwing light on this particular approach. Next, we have Dr. Dragomir Dimitrov, who will share his reflections on some observations about Bruno Levitt's work on the Cāndrasūtra and his manuscripts. Let me introduce Dr. Dimitrov to all. Dr. Dimitrov has a specialization in comparative Indo-European linguistics and Indo-Iranian studies. He completed his PhD from the Department of Indology and Tibetology, Faculty of Foreign Languages, University of Marburg. He worked as a Khyentse Foundation India visiting professor at the Department of Pali, University of Pune. Dr. Dimitrov is currently working as a university professor at the Department of Indology and Tibetology, Faculty of Foreign Languages at the University of Marburg. He is also working as an honorary adjunct professor at the Department of Pali here in University of Pune. We are indeed privileged to have you today for the program, and I invite you to share your thoughts on Levitt's work on Cāndrasūtra and his concepts.
Namaste, dear honorary guests, dear colleagues and students and friends. I'm very delighted to be here, and I'm very grateful, especially to the organizers of this function, Professor Prasad Joshi and his colleagues, for giving me the opportunity to be among you and to celebrate the first results of our common project. So many thanks for this. Of course, I also have to thank not only the organizers but also my collaborators for their great patience and their friendship. And now I really hope that we'll continue these efforts and we'll have more occasions and give us more excuses to come to Pune and participate in similar functions. I thought that on this occasion it will be fitting to say a few words about the main culprit for this function, and this is indeed the German scholar Bruno Liebig, who's the major promoter of Chandra studies in the entire world. And only because of his efforts we were able to continue his work and to publish the book, which we are officially releasing today. In particular, I would like to spend now the next about 20-25 minutes, hope you have the patience, talking about Bruno Liebig as a scholar, and in particular about the manuscripts which he used while preparing his edition of the Vrtti and the Cāndrasūtra first and then of the Vrtti. Bruno Liebig was born in 1862 in Altwasser, which happens to be a place in nowadays Poland. He studied Sanskrit from 1880 to 1882 in Breslau with Alfred Hillebrand and Friedrich Stenzler, and later taught himself their Indian languages and literature, first as a private lecturer and later as a full professor, until he passed away on July 7, 1939, just before the Second World War started. He is best known for his work in the field of Indian grammar, and especially for his exemplary editions of treatises belonging to the grammatical system of Sanskrit, founded by the Buddhist scholar Cāndrasūtra, who, as we probably know, lived around the 5th century AD. The serious study of the Cāndrasūtra was initiated in the 1870s by Franz Kirchhoff, still before he published his monumental edition of Pañjikā between 1880 and 1885 in Bombay, with which he paved the way for the detailed exploration of Panini's Ashtadhyayi. Initially, only indirectly with the help of several transcripts prepared by Hermann Oldenberg in the late 1870s, Kirchhoff was able to consult in Europe several newly arrived manuscripts from Nepal, which Dr. Daniel White had acquired in 1873 to 76 for the University Library in Cambridge. Among these precious acquisitions were several fragments of grammatical works which Kirchhoff examined in detail, as is also evident from his notes, corrections and highlightings in Oldenberg's transcript of an incomplete manuscript of Anandadatta's Ratnamati Paddhati. Kirchhoff must have realized fairly quickly that the text he had been reading was part of a hitherto unknown sub-commentary on another unavailable grammatical work, so he wisely put away these materials in a drawer and did not pursue working on them anymore. After contributing in 1886 his pioneer article about the relationship between the Cāndrasūtra and the Kāshika Vrtti, he left it to his student Bruno Liebig to rescue from oblivion Cāndrasūtra's remarkable reworking of Panini's system of Sanskrit grammar. After completing in 1885 his doctoral studies under Kirchhoff's supervision in Göttingen, Liebig returned to Breslau, where he dedicated himself to the study of Indian grammar. In 1892, he habilitated in the famous Aula Leopoldina with the work on Panini, after which he started systematically collecting information about all the available primary sources in Sanskrit and the translations in Tibetan of works belonging to Cāndrasūtra's tradition. Liebig published the results of his research in 1895 on 50 pages of a highly informative monograph, which he later humbly described only as a bibliographic attempt. In May 1902, Liebig crowned his efforts with the publication of his Editio Princeps of the Cāndrasūtra, Cāndrasūtra's core set of grammatical rules, accompanied by 2 auxiliary treatises. For the preparation of his groundbreaking edition of the Cāndrasūtra, he mainly used one 14th century palm leaf manuscript written in 1356 during the reign of King Karajadeva in Kathmandu, which towards the end of the 19th century had come into the possession of the Asiatic Society of Bengal, in which Liebig remarkably was able to receive on loan in Breslau from Calcutta. His other important primary source was a paper manuscript of the Vrtti, which is the main commentarial work on Cāndrasūtra's grammatical rules. Several years ago, I was able to discover this codex in Liebig's estate, kept in the library of the German Oriental Society in Halle. The manuscript was once privately possessed by Liebig, as becomes clear from a note which he himself has neatly written and appended to it. We learn from this note that the preparation of the paper manuscript was commissioned by Liebig at his own expenses, and it was one Pandit Padma Anand who made a copy of the palm leaf manuscript number 1558 in the library of the Maharaj of Nepal, which contains the Cāndrasūtra, being moreover the only existing complete manuscript of the work. Quite interestingly, it is also communicated that with the help of the French Indologist Sylvain Lévy in 1901, Liebig received on loan the old original from Kathmandu, which he then carefully collated with a modern copy. As the German scholar further says, after sending the old manuscript back to Nepal, his modern copy with his own collation, completed on July 16, 1902, had almost the same value as the old, meanwhile inaccessible codex. Liebig must have received Permanent's modern copy in Europe around 1893 with the help of both Reinhold Ross, a German Orientalist working as the chief librarian at the India Office Library in London, and Colonel Henry Wiley, who in the last decade of the 19th century was in charge as the British resident in Nepal. As for the old manuscript of the Cāndrasūtra, the first European scholar to consult it in person was the British Indologist Cecil Pendle, who during a short trip to Kathmandu in November 1884 was fortunate enough to get direct access to it in the library of the Nepalese Prime Minister Maharaja Pranodip Singh. Pendle quickly recognized its great value and provided its first short description. So he says that this is library number 1558, gave the alleged author of the commentary, mentioned that it is a palm leaf manuscript, a fairly large manuscript containing 158 folios. He also gave a note concerning the script, the straight-topped character of 12th, 13th century, comparable to another manuscript which Pendle had described from the collection in Cambridge. It was thanks to this brief communication in Pendle's travel report that Liebig initially learned about the remarkably well-preserved old palm leaf manuscript of the main commentary on Chandragomin's set of grammatical rules. Soon after receiving Permanent's modern copy of it, however, Liebig must have established that the copy he had commissioned was marked by too many scribal errors and misreadings, which made the realization of his idea of bringing out an editio princess of the commentary impossible without first consulting the old codex itself. He has been so committed to his goal, and the Nepalese historians of the manuscript have been so admirably liberal indeed, that Liebig managed to procure even this codex on loan from Kathmandu. Yet he has received it in Bristol too late, and thus has found himself forced to publish the main grammatical text initially without its indispensable commentary. After finishing his edition of the Cāndrasūtra in May 1902, and after completing some 2 months later, entering in his modern copy numerous corrections and insertions on the basis of his direct consultation of the old Nepalese manuscript, Liebig sent both the codex and one exemplar of his newly appeared edition back to Nepal. This must have happened still within 1902, after the Nepalese rarity had been shown to the participants of the 13th Oriental Congress in September 1902 in Hamburg. That the two items safely reached their destination is clear from the fact that they both are still available in the National Archives in Kathmandu, as I could personally convince myself there several years ago. The copy of the Cāndrasūtra in the library of the National Archives bears moreover Liebig's handwritten dedication to His Highness Cāndrasūtra Rana, the then Maharaj of Nepal, who had granted the Nepalese manuscript to be sent on loan from Kathmandu to Germany. Some 15 years later, when Liebig was finally able to publish also his edition of the Cāndrasūtra, he did not miss the opportunity to express in his introduction his thankfulness to the same Nepalese ruler by mentioning that, I quote, "In any case, for this exceeding liberality, Indology owes gratitude to the owner of the manuscript, the Maharaj of Nepal." End of quote. When one properly checks all the primary sources used by Liebig more than a century ago for the preparation of his text-critical editions of Chandragomin's grammar and its main commentary, an important revelation can be gleaned. It becomes clear that the edition of the Cāndrasūtra published in 1918 in Leipzig, on which its author, its editor, initially worked in Breslau, is based mainly on a faulty modern Nepalese copy, prepared around the early 1890s, on the basis of a fairly good 13th or 14th century palm leaf codex, which fortunately Liebig was able to consult himself in Breslau, but only for several months in 1901 and 1902. Knowing such details about the materials used by him in the course of the preparation of his edition of the Cāndrasūtra helps us significantly to evaluate more reliably the quality of his editorial work and assess more precisely the necessity of a new edition of the same commentarial work. Liebig himself was well aware of his, I quote, comparatively scanty handwritten resources. Indeed, for 15 out of 24 chapters of the complex grammatical work, he had to rely solely on the materials I just showed you. Yet he believed that, I quote, the good quality of the main source, as well as the assistance which the Pañjikā and the Mahabharata provide continuously, let him guarantee a fairly trustworthy text, leaving aside a few duly marked passages. Not least because of Liebig's own assessment, but particularly due to his well-known precision, few later scholars felt inclined to entertain doubts about the trustworthiness of his Cāndrasūtra edition. For several decades, the text-critical work on Chandragami's grammatical work was largely neglected. Even in the 50s and 60s, when in India, Liebig's edition of the Sutra and of the Vrtti were taken over twice in Indian publications without consulting any manuscripts available in Calcutta and in Kathmandu. Only after inspecting a new fragment of the Cāndrasūtra, which Willem Rau, the teacher of my teacher, Mindan, discovered in Nepal, and after noticing there a number of textual variants, he expressed the opinion that Liebig's assessment has been, I quote, a little bit too optimistic. And very too optimistic. In the 1980s, once a significant number of Nepalese manuscripts had been microfilmed thanks to the Nepal-German Manuscript Preservation Project, initiated in the early 1970s, Thomas Oberlies embarked on fulfilling the task of comparing the newly emerged Chandra fragment with Liebig's edition of the Cāndrasūtra. This he did in his doctoral dissertation in 1989 and in a series of articles which appeared thereafter. As one of his most important results, Oberlies highlighted that, I quote, on the basis of a comparison of all accessible new manuscripts, the present work has established Liebig's text to be, by and large, reliable. This may prove by chance to be correct, but Oberlies' comparison has one crucial flaw, which diminishes significantly the reliability of his own conclusions. Among the 7 Nepalese manuscripts consulted by him, by far the most important and almost complete one was a codex with an accession number of the National Archives in Kathmandu, number 1, 1558, filmed on microfilm A52/14. Oberlies regarded this manuscript to be of excellent quality, but he failed to realize that the codex microfilmed at the National Archives in Kathmandu in the end of October 1970 was in fact identical with the former Maharaja's manuscript 1558, which some 70 years earlier Liebig had been allowed to use for a few months in Breslau, and which still earlier Padma had once copied for him after it was first re-described by Mendel in 1886. This is of course crucial to know, since comparing Liebig's edited text with the main manuscript on which his edition is based will naturally result in establishing a very close agreement. But this by no means can help us in finding out to what extent the available edition relates to or differs from other branches of the transmission of the same grammatical text. An inspection like this can only reveal how faithfully and correctly Liebig has reproduced his main handwritten source of the Cāndrasūtra. Oberlies' overlook has been exacerbated by his omission to inspect also Burman's modern copy of the old Nepalese manuscript in Liebig's estate in Halle. Yet only after carefully checking all these sources it becomes possible to assess properly and explain satisfactorily various puzzling features. As for example, a particularly noteworthy lacuna in the printed edition concerning the text passage which turns out to be available in the old manuscript. Liebig indicated the lacuna in the commentary on rules 14, 62 and 63 by writing Lücke bis 20, so a gap until 20. The explanation for this surprising situation is actually quite simple. At the time when Permanent was preparing his modern copy, he skipped one entire line because his eyes jumped from saying to saying, thus committing a typical scribal mistake called in French saut du moment. The inadvertently omitted portion starts on the third line after the word Vrtti, which is highlighted on this slide, and continues up to the next Vrtti on the fourth line, which happens to be positioned almost exactly below the previous one. But Permanent committed the same kind of mistakes at 7 other places. Yet in all these other cases, Liebig noticed the significant omissions still at the time when he had been making his collation in Presto with the help of the old Nepalese manuscript, given on loan to him from Cāndrasūtra. His procedure has been to insert the original text in the margin of his modern copy, as can be seen, for example, for the 95b. We can observe here Liebig's insertion in his own Devanagari handwriting in the top margin. With the help of such marginal insertions, the editor was later able to publish the complete text of the commentary, even without having any more the old manuscript within his reach. In only one single case in this extensive commentary occupying more than 500 printed pages, he noticed the omission too late and hence found himself unable to provide the complete text. This is exactly the lacuna I mentioned earlier, which can now be filled up easily after checking the old Nepalese manuscript, as well as several other fragments which also contain the same text. It is clear that without looking back at Liebig's primary sources, this restoration of the text would not have been so easy, and moreover quite misleading conclusions about the nature of his materials and the text edited by him could, and indeed have already been drawn. The close inspection of all handwritten sources used during the preparation of the Editio Principis of the Vrtti reveals that under very difficult conditions, with quite limited access to manuscripts, more than a century ago, the German scholar managed to produce an exemplary edition of this major grammatical treatise, which still remains unsurpassed. Yet at the same time, the critical analysis of all accessible sources and additional commentarial works permits us to recognize that at least partially, Liebig's edition can, and with regard to several of its parts, is already being supplanted by a new, and I hope, better edition, on which I have the pleasure to work with my friends Mahesh and children. You can see on this slide 3 of us working hard re-editing the text. The first results of this Indo-Japanese-German joint venture you can find in volume 5 of the Polindological series, containing the edition of the Cāndrasūtra 1-3. Understanding in more detail how meticulously and conscientiously the great pioneer Bruno Liebig has produced in his editorial work provides to us a luminary example which deserves to be followed by anyone working in this field. And this is exactly what we have been attempting to do. An additional proof for Liebig's most efficient and pragmatic approach in dealing with the limited number of Indian and Nepalese manuscripts which he managed to get access to while staying in Germany without ever setting a foot in South Asia can be found in the inclusion in his 1918 edition of the Vrtti, also of the text of the Cāndrasūtra. Liebig became aware of this short treatise attributed to Cāndragomit himself in the 1890s when he read in Georg Müller's detailed report of 2 ex-search of Sanskrit manuscripts about the curious discovery of a Sharada manuscript of the Cāndrasūtra and the Paribhāsha Sutra, associated with the Cāndrasūtra. Müller procured the unique paper codex consisting of one single leaf in 1875 and brought it to Pune, It seems that shortly after the Sharada manuscript reached here, at least 2 Nagari copies were prepared by 2 different scribes. One of the 2 copies contains only the Vrtti, which was added to the collection of the Pañjikā Oriental Research Institute under number 289, 1875-76. This incomplete copy, as you can see, after the colophon Cāndrasūtra, Sutrani Samatha, no copy of the Pañjikā Sutra follows. And this was used by Srimad Krishna Prabhakar, who in 1915 published the first edition of the Varna Sutra by adding it in an appendix to his systems of Sanskrit grammar. By the time Prabhakar was working on this edition, it seems that the Sharada original codex had somehow been lost, and it remains untraceable up to this day. On top of this, Prabhakar appears to have remained unaware of the second Nagari copy, which, unlike the Bori manuscript, however, contains also the Pañjikā Sutra. The second copy was donated to the State Library in Berlin in 1878 by Buddha himself. It was registered there with the number manuscript 850. Less than 10 years later, Albrecht Weber catalogued this codex under number 1633 in the first part of the second volume of his Verzeichnis der Sanskrit und Praktikhandschriften der Königlichen Bibliothek zu Berlin, which was published in 1886 in Berlin. It is most likely due to this catalogue entry that Liebig came to know about the availability of this Nagari copy. Due to the proverbial German old monk, it is moreover possible to establish that he consulted the manuscript during his visit to the library in Berlin from September the 14th to the 16th, 1891, as is evident from the library's register book. You can see on this slide Liebig's own signature and the number 1850 when he started and returned the manuscript. With the help of this codex, as well as thanks to the Tibetan translation of the Varna Sutra included in the Tibetan canon, which Liebig also duly consulted, he managed to produce and publish in 1918 an edition of this brief treatise, as we already saw. Apparently, because until that time when the book was published in 1918, Liebig had remained unaware of Prabhakar's Indian publication of the same text released in 1915 on the basis of the Bori incomplete manuscript. He considered his own edition to be the first, even though we know now that this was not the case as far as the date of publication is concerned. Liebig was indeed the first scholar to bring out single-handedly not only the Cāndrasūtra, the Unadi and the Dhatupata, but also the Pañjikā Sutra belonging to the Chandra school of Rome. He published this short but important grammatical work in 1928 as an appendix to his useful concordant Spanini Chandra. On account of the fact that it was Weber who first described the Nagari copy of the Cāndravarna Sutra and the Pañjikā Sutra kept in Berlin, it may be said that he was also a contributor to the dissemination of Chandra studies in Chandra Vyakana in general. Since Weber's and Liebig's times, access to Indian manuscripts has become, of course, significantly easier, even though some institutions and libraries, particularly here in India, still remain inexplicably restrictive and unwilling to take full advantage of the benefits of our digital era. It's really a problem, and I would like to highlight, and because we have some influential guests here, it's a plea that we enable all colleagues, regardless of where we stay, that we get proper access to these manuscripts. And we see that more than 100 years ago, people have been even sending physically their manuscripts from Kathmandu or from Calcutta, and this enabled such editions, which we're now still discussing. And this is so much easier nowadays to have access to these digital images, and it doesn't cost anything but just goodwill. So please make everything possible to make, for example, the huge collection of the Asiatic Society in Calcutta available to scholars, to the few scholars who are able and qualified to do research on these materials. Anyway, we do have also good examples. Also in India, in England, and of course also in Germany, as in the case, in this particular case, the State Library of Berlin, which has provided a full digital image of the manuscript which I was just discussing, and anyone can use it for free and do further research if necessary. Now, what needs to follow are, of course, new editions. That's where the real work begins. The digitization is the easy part of the whole enterprise. What we need is to qualify people, to educate younger colleagues who should be able then to proceed properly, analyzing and working on these materials. And I really hope that soon, also several other volumes will follow in the Pañjikā series, and they will also contain other parts of the Cāndrasūtra. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dimitrov, for bringing to the fore the contributions of Liebig's work, which is one of the seminal works on Cāndrasūtra. And thank you once again. Now we proceed to the message by Professor Madhav Deshpande, who is the guest of honor for today's program. He is not here; he lives in US, and he has sent, he has conveyed his wishes and his message through video, which we will be playing soon. But before that, let me briefly introduce Dr. Madhav Deshpande to all of you. As it's quite well known that he is a esteemed scholar of Sanskrit grammatical tradition, historical linguistics, Sanskrit phonetics and social linguistics of Sanskrit and Prakrit languages. He began his academic career in Pune and retired as a professor of Sanskrit and Hindu studies at the Department of Asian Languages and Cultures, University of Michigan, where he also worked in the Department of Linguistics. Several books to his credits and almost 150 research papers. He has paved the pathway for researchers and students like us in the fields of Sanskrit grammar. So let us now hear to his message.
Hello everybody. We have all gathered to celebrate the publication of a new book. This is the commentary by Ratnamati, a Pañjikā, on Chandra Gomen's Cāndrasūtra and the Vrtti, the commentary on this Cāndrasūtra. This new critical edition of a section, the section 1.3 by three very well-known scholars, is a welcome event. These three scholars are Dr. Mahesh Devkar from Pune, Dr. Dragomir Dimitrov from Harvard University in Germany, and the third scholar is Chojun Izaki, professor from Hiroshima University in Japan. This commentary on the Cāndrasūtra by Ratnamati is available only in fragments, but it's a welcome thing for all scholars of Sanskrit grammar to see these fragments being taken for publication. I just want to give you a brief review of scholarship on the Cāndrasūtra. The early work on the Chandra school was conducted by a German scholar, Bruno Liebig. His edition of Cāndrasūtras and Cāndravrtti, his work began around 1902, and his remarkable concordance of Pañjikā and Cāndrasūtras appeared in 1929. Several works from this grammatical school are known to us. Some have been published, not necessarily in a critical edition, but we have the Cāndrasūtra, Sutra and Vrtti now. Then we have the Unadi Sutras attributed to Chandra Gomen. There are Paribhasha Sutras attributed to him. There is a Ganapatha there are Varna Sutras attributed to him, and then there is a Dhatu Patha attributed to him. So we can see that Chandra Govind's Vyakarana is a very extensive work in the tradition of Sanskrit grammar, and it was produced sometime around the 5th century AD. Now let me just briefly mention some work done in this system. So the first Indian edition of the Chandra Vyakarana was published by Professor Kshitish Chandra Chatterjee, and this was published by Deccan College. The first volume came out in 1953, and the second volume was published in 1961. Now this edition made the Chandra Vyakarana more easily available to Indian scholars. Now this is not what you would call a critical edition in the modern sense of the word critical edition, but Professor Chatterjee gives profuse footnotes comparing the Chandra system with Panini, with numerous quotations from Panini Sutras, the Mahabhashya, etc. And therefore, this edition remains extremely useful to this day. There are a few important works published by other Indian scholars. In 1972, Kali Charan Shastri produced a book named Bengal's Contribution to Sanskrit Grammar in the Paninian and Chandra system. Again, it's a very useful work, especially because it contains detailed comparative and historical discussions. The second book that I want to mention is a book by Harshanath Mishra. This was published in 1974, and this is a Sanskrit book, Chandra Vyakarana Vrtti Samalochanatmakam Adhyayanam. It also contains very useful comparative discussions. Now, among more critical studies, I don't know what term to use, this series of works begins with the 1989 book by Dr. Thomas Oberlies. This is a German book, Studie zum Chandra Vyakarana. This is perhaps the foundational work that has inspired subsequent research in this area. The book truly lives up to its subtitle, Eine kritische Bearbeitung, and he also later in 1996 published an article comparing the Chandra Vyakarana with other Vyakarana. Among other scholars who have worked on the Chandra Vyakarana, let me mention a few. Professor Johannes Bronkhorst, Emily Ossan, Gornell, A.M., Mikhail Han, William Rao, and one of my own professors, Professor G.B. Persole. Persole included the Chandra system in his comparative study of the Dhatu Pathas. In 2009, Professor Mahesh Devkar, who is one of the editors of the book that we are publishing today, he published a study showing the connection of Ratnavati's Chandra Pañjikā to the Pali grammar of Moggallana, which is known as Moggallana Vyakarana, coming from Sri Lanka. And it's a very important demonstration that the Chandra Vyakarana system had deep influence on the development of Pali Vyakarana in Sri Lanka. Coming to the most recent work in 2022, Dr. Ramhari Timarsina published a section of another commentary called Sumati Pañjikā, a commentary on the Vrtti. And again, this is publication of one section of this commentary. This is for the first time that a large commentary on the Vrtti was critically edited. This was published by the French Institute in Pondicherry. The introduction to Dr. Timarsina's work is an excellent introduction to Chandra Vyakarana, and it lists numerous works on the Chandra school that are found among manuscripts that came from Nepal and Tibet. Now, coming to the book that is now being published today, this is Ratnamati, another Buddhist scholar, Ratnamati's Pañjikā on the Vrtti, and this is section 1.3. This is the Unadi section of Chandragopal's work. Again, this commentary is available in fragments, but it's an extensive commentary. This work is now being edited very meticulously. The introduction to this book by Professor Dimitrov gives a detailed historical account of the discovery of the Chandra Vyakarana and its editing and publishing. This book, the current book, the Pañjikā of Ratnamati, I've read some part of the book, came to me just a few days ago. It's an amazing work, and it's something like the Kāshika Vrtti on Panini's grammar. It's a very extensive commentary, and Professor Vaidyanathan has shown the connection of this commentary also to the Moggallana Vyakarana. So I am extremely happy to see this book, particularly that it came into my own hands a few days ago, and I've been just going through the. It's a very dense work, an amazing work, and I heartily congratulate these eminent editors of this work. Look forward to other sections of this Chandra Pañjikā being published in the next some years. Now, through their work and the work of other scholars on Chandra system, we know that the Chandra Vyakarana was not some system sitting in the corner, but it was a very vibrant and influential school of Sanskrit grammar. We need to widen our view of Sanskrit grammar from the Paninian tradition to include the non-Paninian grammars as well. We normally study the Paninian tradition, and when we look at the later tradition within that school, we see Uttarottaram Munina Pramanyam and Patanjali as the pinnacle of this Paninian school. And the tradition is kind of not willing to go beyond what Patanjali is trying to say. But the fact is, so many other non-Paninian traditions emerged, the Jainendra, the Chandra school, Katantra, Hemachandra, and so on and so forth. And these were very vibrant schools of Sanskrit grammar. We need to look at them to see what new things they are bringing to light. Are they bringing to light some new usages of Sanskrit grammar? Could be peripherally, Sanskrit was developing, and something that was considered as Paninian by the Paninians was considered acceptable by these other grammars. And so, looking at the totality of Sanskrit grammatical traditions, we then come to face with the reality not only of the grammatical traditions, but of the expanse of the Sanskrit usage itself, and a very vibrant tradition, a vibrant intellectual tradition in ancient India. Well, I am so thankful to have been given this opportunity to talk to you in this format and to congratulate the editors of this book. Again, finally, I congratulate Professor Devkar, Professor Dimitra, and Professor Yazaki. May their work continue and inspire other scholars, especially the young scholars, to take up future research in this area. Thank you so much.
Thank Professor Deshpande for his words. We now proceed to the address by Chief Guest of today's program, Professor Srinivasa Vrtti, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Central Sanskrit University. Let me take this opportunity to introduce Professor Vrtti to all of you. He is a visionary and renowned scholar of Sanskrit specializing in Nyaya, Vyakarana and computational linguistics, and accomplished academician and administrator in the field. Before serving as a Vice Chancellor at Central Sanskrit University, he held the position of Vice Chancellor at Karnataka Sanskrit University, where he also served as a Professor and Dean of Faculty of Shastras. His contributions to Sanskrit and interdisciplinary studies have earned him prestigious awards, including Maharshi Badarayana Vyasa Samman in 2007, conferred by the President of India, and Chinmayananda Gold Medal in 2012 from Chinmaya International Foundation, Shodha Samsthan, and Shri Krishnanugraha Prashasti in 2009 from Shri Subhanendra Tirtha Swamiji for his traditional scholarship. Professor Vrtti has also been invited as visiting professor at multiple esteemed institutions, including Rabindra Bharati University, Jadavpur University, and IIIT at Hyderabad. With a significant academic output, he has authored 9 books, edited 26 volumes, and published more than 22 research papers. He has played a key role in shaping educational institutions and curricula, notably establishing the Directorate for Sanskrit Education in Karnataka and leading academic and administrative reforms at Sanskrit Academy, Osmania University. Yes, thank you, sir. It is always enlightening and encouraging to listen to you. Let us address.
Thank you, Professor Joshi and Vice Chancellor for making me part of this great celebration of publishing the prestigious Pune Fundamental series. This is 5th edition, right? Respected scholars present here, my colleagues of Pune International University. I am really delighted to be part of this program for 2 reasons. One being to notice that the prestigious publication series have not stopped their continuity. It requires a lot of labor in the sense that the scholars sitting in various corners of the world, globe, thanks to technology, they could meet on daily basis, and they could produce such important work with meticulous study. And we need to celebrate. It is our duty to celebrate such labor. And of inspiration to the others who want to take up such projects. Professor Mahesh and his colleagues, Professor Dimitro and Professor Yachaki, three of them, it is confirmed today once again that Vyakaranam is called Trimuni, right? Once again it is confirmed. So, Chandra Vyakaranam is Trimuni Vyakaranam. And this today's edition is also Trimuni edition. So, when I came to know, should I use this? Okay. When I came to know about this project, somebody is sitting in Japan, somebody is sitting in Germany, and somebody is sitting in India, and the time zones, of course, are the real barrier. But technology has given us a wonderful opportunity. We have used that. And so while doing so, this is just to make a comment. After knowing this, I said this is Triloki project. That they are sitting in different lokas and then they are bringing one program. This is really how collaboration is possible. In old days, people used to sit and write in home and then offices, and they used to send by postages, and they used to travel by ocean, and then they used to work. They used to produce. Nowadays, the technology, the mobility has become very easy, and then communication technologies have been established so fast, and we can, at any point of time, we can meet, but they are not busy. Today, I'm happy that the way, when I saw this publication after release, I just fell in love with this edition. It's so beautiful. It is not only beautiful in the sense that physically, in the physical form, the scholars have spent years and years on that. And when I was going through the text line by line, their attention to each symbol and each word, and they have made so beautifully the color combination they have chosen. This is a marvelous job, and the publication has come so beautifully, and the choice of their fonts. I think this must be a model for the rest of the scholars, how to bring a beautiful publications. And what happens, the readers, nowadays we are, of course, all of us, we read a lot in WhatsApp, we read a lot on mobiles, we are mobile readers. But a publication should catch the attention of the scholars in such a way that they should take interest to read. So this happens because I have brought out many editions in India. I'm sorry to say that many of our institutions are unable to bring such quality publications. So this is where Professor Mahesh stands very unique and outstanding among Indian scholars. Thanks to all the scholar trio, for creating this. I think this fifth edition of this Pune series, fifth volume. And of course, I am not a Vyakaran. Even Yatra Vyakaranah or Pañjikā. Yatra Vyakaranah or Vyakaranah. Yatra Ubaye, Tatra Nobhaye. Yatra Nobhaye, Tatra Ubaye. But today, because this Pune is such a place where I cannot claim that I am I'm a grammarian, I'm a because everyone stays here, everyone is part of gathering. But Chandra Vyakarana has been neglected in our mainstream learning of Sanskrit grammar. That we have noticed. But somewhere this has to be because many research scholars have got good publications and many were not available now. They have been available now. But just to ask, when I came to know that, when I asked Mahesh, he was telling me that why Kadanta is fast? Because that was my response. Because I don't know, I did not know that how it is structured. My training in Vyakarana of Pañjikā model, we don't know the other non-Pañjikā models are totally neglected. We don't know the structure, how do they interpret the language, how do they analyze the language, that we need to know. Then he was explaining me why Kadanta comes first and then the other part of Vyakarana. But I think that, I don't know Mahesh why it is published in the Roman script. Can be converted very easily in Devanagari script also. I think mechanically it is possible. I think we should bring one. I think mechanically we should reproduce. Automatically we convert the fonts into Mali script so that the Indian students who are unable to read the Roman script very fast. Even for me, it is very difficult. I can read Roman script, but I cannot read it for my studies. It is very difficult for us to follow that takes time. Therefore, can we reproduce an Indian version in Devanagari script so that Indian students can easily access this edition? So, I also noticed that the collaborative research. Recently, I visited Australia, and I met many scholars. And during our conversation, I came to know that the scholars are unable to work with Indian scholars for some reasons. I asked them, what are those reasons? I just, as an institution head, I wanted to understand what are the hindrances. Then they said, many research scholars in India are not taking interest in serious work. I mean, basically, many of them are interested to complete their PhD by taking a very any such topics where they can just write something and produce. This is the observation made by a Western scholar. I was astonished, very serious. And somebody said that many of them, we cannot converse with them because the limitations of language. And somewhere we need to break these barriers. And we need to come out and we need to invite the Western scholars who are interested to produce such good works. I am happy that both the scholars today have taken interest and then they have produced very good work. So similarly, many more such publications are expected. So in order to create such environment, what should I do? Being a vice chancellor of a central funded institution, I should know how can we create such environment where people from scholars from different background, different nations can come together and work and then produce such good publications. We need to create certain environment and certain fellowships so that they can come here, they can spend time in India, and people can go abroad and spend time. I think I need to know much more about such projects, and I look forward to Professor Mahesh and Professor Joshi to enlighten me in creating such environment in India. And finally, एकमात्रा लाघवेन उत्वत्सवमन्यन्ते वैयाकरणाः. Even एकदोषवारणेनापि उत्वत्सवमन्यन्ते. लाघवमात्रं न. Because Vyakarnas are very, very cautious about the errors. Even matra error makes them very fearful. I mean, while producing such Vyakarana works, the scholars should be more careful because it's very difficult to avoid while compiling the text from the various sources and then keeping in one place and error-free bringing error-free edition is not so easy job. At least for Vyakarana it is more tough job because when the scholar himself is Vyakarana, then each time again after reading and reading, then he becomes very cautious about, I think in the till last minute he will be afraid of even leaving out one small error. But when you bring out such error-free edition, then you should really do Putrotsav. I think today for Mahesh it is Putrotsav. And for the rest of us also, we need to celebrate this. Some celebrations are very important for us, for our life. And today I am happy that this is newly created Samangana, where I think first of its kind it is released and told to Professor Joshi. And it is so coincident, the Central Sanskrit University being the Nobel University for Government of India could extend its helping hand to recreate the Deccan College Dictionary Center, and we both, Central Sanskrit University and Deccan College together created an old center, but it is recreated, and this is Center for ITS and ETS Dictionary Project. And today I am happy to announce that the scholars are appointed. This project is going to continue for next at least 40 years. And I'm happy that this is not coincident. Professor Mahesh Devkar is a Muhurtagnya. He asked me to keep this date. I didn't know that on that day this will happen, but he pushed me and he said that this is the Muhurta, we come here. Then he decided on going that, I said no, and somehow we could complete that our project along with this, and today we also wanted the scholars, very young and bright scholars for this for continuation of this project, and I'm happy that I keep coming to Deccan College and Pune for this purpose, so that I can learn more from all of you. Thank you very much. Thanks for making me part of this program.
Thank you, Professor Vrtti. We are indeed grateful for your presence and for your reflections. Now we proceed to remarks by the chairperson for today's program, Professor Cāndrasūtra, who is the Vice Chancellor of Deccan College Postgraduate and Research Institute and also General Editor of Encyclopedic Dictionary of Sanskrit. Sir, just 2 minutes to introduce you to the audience. Just 2 minutes, please allow me. So, he is a grammarian and he completed his PhD on Aorist from Veda, and he, along with Sanskrit grammar, he is also trained in linguistics. He has published 5 edited volumes award, that is Maharishi Badarayana Vyasa Puraskar. And sir, we are now eager to listen to your remarks.
Thank you so much. In fact, today there are several reasons for me to feel very happy, privileged, and honored also. The first reason is that Dr. Mahesh Devara has chosen this as Anishtan, substantive or location of publication of this very addition to the study of Cāndrasūtra. When we had discussion about this book, and he told me that the book is almost ready and we are looking forward for the publication of this book. No sooner he said, I added that why Deccan College should not be chosen as the place because the very first Indian edition of Cāndrasūtra was published from Deccan College and particularly from the Sanskrit Experience project. Because Deccan College have two wings of publications. One is Deccan College Postgraduate Research Institute, which started after the revival of this institute. But along with that, we have this another publication wing, that is Sanskrit Experience project. And Cāndrasūtra was published from Sanskrit Experience department of project. Actually, we know that the tradition of language study, Indian tradition of language study, has a long-standing history. No doubt that Pañjikā was the pioneer of descriptive grammar. He gave us the model. Not only he described the language that was prevalent at his time, but he provided a model how grammatic theory should be. And probably this path was broadened by many other scholars. And Cāndrasūtra is one of the important schools adding to the grammatical theory, language study of our country. And especially the Cāndrasūtra, already we have some reasons before that also, but to understand the sutra, to understand the grammar without commentary is really difficult. So we wanted, the scholars wanted the publication of Pañjikā to understand the Cāndrasūtra. So it was really a exact thing. And the three scholars from three parts of the world came together, Trayaha, Mundayaha, Vamshaha, and it became a three-dimensional. So this kind of edition really is appreciated, really celebrated here. To produce the critical edition, well-edited book is a very difficult task, and this is the result of great expertise, great efforts put together by the three scholars here. Without their keen interest, without their great efforts, this would not have been there. And critical edition or textual criticism itself is nowadays a dying art. We do have books, publications of books and monographs, but they lack this kind of scholarship or critical apparatus is lacking there. So probably this book is there, I go through that book in details, but I'm sure this is the model for critical editions also. And the poetical series deserves profuse appreciation for that. So thanks to Professor Mahesh Devara for giving this opportunity to Deccan College to celebrate your achievement here. Secondly, I am happy because we already have an MOU, academic partnership with the Department of Allied Buddhist Studies of the SPPU. And by holding this program here, the MOU has become more and more functional, and we look forward to the academic activities with the Department of Allied Buddhist Studies in future also. So this is another reason for my happiness. Thirdly, Professor Vrtti and all of you, your presence here is making me feel very honored today. because of your coming together here, this program really went successfully. First we listened to Vrtti, and it was followed by Benito's account, especially Yuvi's contribution to the Cāndrasūtra. We would like to know more on his contribution and the entire importance of the Chandra School, probably in detail. I would like to invite you for discussion group, which is a monthly activity in this institute. Then we listened to Professor Madhav Deshpande, guest of honor for this function today, who joined us from USA in online mode. Thanks to Professor Deshpande for taking the review of important landmarks in the tradition of Cāndrasūtra. He is an authority on the Indian grammar tradition of this language study. So, can I accept our thanks, Professor Deshpande? In his concluding remarks, the chief guest, Professor Vrtti, the very convenient himself to come to the college, not to the college. He also underlined the need of coming together on collaborative activities, including scholars together to produce this kind of seminal works. Thanks to Professor Vrtti also. So these are various reasons that are making me very happy today, feel very privileged and honored today. So I accept my sincere thanks expressed towards all of you. All the three scholars deserve profuse appreciation. My dear scholars, I accept our big celebrations on your achievement. So with these few words, I would like to end my speech today. Thanks to the colleagues in my department and other departments also of this institute, Professor Mule, Professor Subramaniam, Amish Khale, Nirmala Kumpani, and Captain Madam also are coming here. All your presence is very gracious for this occasion. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you, sir, for your remarks. Now we come to the vote of thanks. I request Professor Cāndrasūtra to present the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. So we have reached the final leg of this program, vote of thanks, and it is indeed my privilege to be here to thank all the guests and the three editors who did this monumental job. I am a witness as Chojan's wife, how they have worked tirelessly till late night. So, to see the fruit of their labor published today is indeed a great pleasure for me. So, first of all, I would like to thank Professor Vrtti who makes it a point to come to Pune whenever we request him. So, it's our great honor to have him with us today. Then I thank Professor Prasad Joshi, our old-time friend. I don't know for how many years, but yeah, I think at least 3 decades we are friends, we three. So, thank you for suggesting to hold this program here in the institute, which is my alma mater. Then I would like to express my gratitude to Professor Madhav Deshpande who participated in this program online and sent his message and a short review about the program. So I'm grateful to him. Then I would like to express my thanks to Professor Divitro and Dr. Yazaki who came all the way from Germany and Japan to participate in this program. Dr. Yazaki's family is also here for this special occasion, so I'm really happy to see them. Then the registrar, the honorable registrar of this institute, the academic and non-academic staff of both the institutions, Savitribai Phule University and Deccan College, who arranged this program here in the library of the institute. They also deserve special thanks. The special thanks are also due to the photographers for taking photographs of this function, and the media person, print and online media persons. My thanks are also due to them. And of course, not the least, the students of both the departments, the faculty members of both the departments have gathered here in large number, and I'm sure they will take inspiration from this collaborative project, and we will have more collaborative projects coming into being from both the institutes. Professor Vrtti has suggested, so I look forward to many more such programs. Thank you.
May I just add something? Sorry. We should thank two, important persons. One is our funding agency for this wonderful production. So the University of Marburg, and we have got this special funding. $2 series now right now in 3 volumes. We got funding from our German colleagues to make this possible, and our printer, Jack Printers from Mumbai, Mr. Aspi Forbes. He has taken this special care. Dr. Vrtti praised the production, and I'm really happy because we are not just interested in having a good academic publication, but also want it to be aesthetically of high quality. And for that, these two are very important because such publications are in a way luxury publications, and they require good funding to support this, and as well as a good printer, because even now, nowadays, printing is also an art which is dying, just as people are editing. So, we should thank this issue as well. And I should thank, 3 of us, 3 Munis, but we should really thank our wives for giving us freedom to work together. Although, with their complaints. Yes. And because we are always keen to work on, and then find excuse to somehow run away from the responsibility. But thanks to Lata, thanks to the right, and also Diana. She is not here, but 3 of them. Being patient with us, because we are really mad after this. But thanks to them, and last but not least, I should thank personally, and this is what I kept it to myself, Samita Joshi, for coordinating this entire event. And we were in the conversation since Prasad accepted this and put me in touch with her, and she has taken all care to make this program possible, and it was also for anchoring, and not just for anchoring, but doing all sorts of work for this, and to her team as well. So thank you very much, Samita, and all the best. And I expect maybe if you want to really continue this, I also request Professor Vrtti to continue supporting us in the future to have wonderful publications like this. Efforts